I'm just being stupid. Right, I've had a bit of a disaster in that I forgot to set my camera to record when I started this. So I'm going to start again, but talk you through it rather than show you. It's really a very straightforward recipe. What I did say at the beginning was, whether you're cooking for me or for yourself, it's a really good idea. And I'm not trying to be patronizing, and I'm sure you do this, but if you have everything ready beforehand, it does mean that you can just cook and you haven't got to think, oh, where's this, where's that? For instance, I have all my cooking utensils, and I know I have a lot, in a jug. So I get that out at the beginning, and it's there, and it's got in my spatulas, my mixing whisks, if I need to put on my wooden spoons, my sweet wooden spoons, because my savoury ones are by the cooker, my pastry brushes, they're all in this one pot, to my spatulas. So everything's there to hand. Sorry, it's fairly obvious. I'm sure you do it, but it's just easier. Likewise, sorry about this cupboard. This is my new super duper method of cooking, of filming, you're going to see today, except I forgot to press record. So I'm using this one to talk to you, and then when I'm cooking, I'm going to use my webcam, which is in this cupboard. So you'll see, I'll probably knock my head on here a dozen times during the session, but the camera is in my cupboard, and you'll see how wonderful it is in a moment. So what I've done is I've beaten the margarine and sugar together. I've beaten the eggs with my electric whisk to get some air in them, and I've put the almond essence in with that. And I haven't added the milk. You need to wait and see whether you need the milk. And I'm going to show you now. I'm going to go, this is very exciting. Just wait till you see this. Oh, look at that. We're now over here with my webcam, and you can see the mixture is quite soft. It's quite soft. It's what they might call, if you were Mary Berry, a soft dropping consistency, because when you hold a spoonful up, it just drips off the spoon. Now, you can see I've started filling the paper cases. You don't need to see me fill a lot of paper cases, but you can see I've only filled them about half full. When we made, those of you who made chocolate brownie muffins with me will remember that we filled those really up very near the top. These we haven't. Now I'm using the Co-op fairy cake cases. The alternative is cupcake cases, which are, and we had this with the chocolate brownies with some of you. Cupcake cases are bigger, quite a bit bigger actually. So you might need to put more in. Now, because of that, I put more cases out. It says 12 to 15. I'm actually going to make quite a few more than that, but they're only little. And then I kid myself, they won't be so fattening. What it means is I'm just going to eat more of them. You want these to be flat when they're cooked. You don't want them rising in a point. You want them flat. So, that's why I'm saying only fill them half full and make more. They will, of course, freeze. If you're freezing them, don't ice them. Do the icing afterwards and just cook them because the icing won't freeze happily at all and you'll be disappointed with the results. So, but you can make them and freeze them. I'm a great one for freezing absolutely anything I possibly can. In fact, I am toying with making myself some pancakes. You all know by now that Bob doesn't like pancakes, and it's pancake day when I'm doing this. I'm very disappointed at the lack of pancakes in this house. I like them sweet, I like them savoury, I like them stuffed with all sorts of things. I love pancakes, and Bob doesn't. And I know lots of you doesn't. And I know Jan Elliott's in the background going, yeah, I don't like pancakes. I don't know how you can't. I mean, there's just nothing to them to dislike. Bob is also not very keen on Yorkshire pudding either, so the same thing, isn't it? So there we are. But I have been looking up how to freeze pancakes, and you can. So I might just make myself a batch and just treat myself. I mean, I love Scotch pancakes and drop scones and, you know, all those sorts of things, actually Welsh cakes. Let's face it, it's not much I don't like, which is why I am the size I am. Now this has made me, as you can see, I've got a 12 tray, and I've got 9 in the next tray. 9 and 12 is 21. So I've made 21, but I have got, I will reiterate, I have got small paper cases. If you use big cases, you would probably only make the 12. So I'll leave it up to you what size cases you've got. Actually, I've got a sort of plethora of cases at the moment. I don't know quite what happened. I think I ordered, I think I bought some and then forgot I had them and then ordered some and, oh, I've got loads. Right, there we are. So that's those going in the oven now. I'm going to pause the recording and I'll show you when they come out. Let me just press. Just taking the cakes out of the oven now. First of all, anyway, first tray. And I can't see the colour very well. I'm sorry about the colour. They are nicely golden brown. What if I turn that off? Is that any better? If it is really. They're nicely golden brown, trust me. Can't see the colour very well. And you will see they're nice and flat. That's what we wanted, was a nice flat mixture in the tin, which is what we've got. So now we're going to take these out without burning our fingers, hopefully, and pop them on a baking tray. I've got fairly asbestos fingers, but these are difficult because with these tins, they're quite deep in the tin. So there they are, out on the tray to cool. And you have to decide what you're going to make a hole with, because what you're going to do is scoop out the middle of these. Now, there are various suggestions. I'm going to turn it around, so I'm looking at me. Hold on a minute. Okay, you can use various things to scoop the middle out of these. One is an apple corer. I'm trying to think of things you might have. I happen to have, just because I used to do things like this all the time, I have a melon baller, which is perfect. You could use little measuring spoons are quite good because they're quite sharp, or a teaspoon, or I think Lakeland do a special thing that you can take the middle of cupcakes out of. My daughter-in-law has one, but I'm not that sophisticated, but melon ball is quite sophisticated, and it just makes a perfect hole. So have a little think of what you might use to do that with. And while you're waiting for, in my case, my second tray to be done, which is going to be any second now, I've measured out my icing sugar ready, and it's a new bag and it's a bit lumpy, I've got to sieve it. And I have got a bottle of lemon juice, simply because the lemons I've got are allocated. I'm making a birthday cake for someone, I only have allocated lemons, but I always keep a bottle of lemon juice in the cupboard, in the fridge, and a bottle of lime juice, because they're just quite handy. So I'm going to use bottled lemon juice, and it's, trust me, it's every bit as good. If any of you heard Bernie Keith yesterday talking about Jif lemons, it's just hysterical. So anyway, there we are. It's not a Jif lemon, but it's a bottled lemon. Here's my second tray. Again, you can't see the colour, which is, oh, here you can if I put a shadow on it. They're just nicely light golden brown. So that's all of those. So as I say, I've got 21. You may not have quite such a generous number as that, but get them out and leave them to cool and make your icing ready with your lemon juice and your icing sugar. And you can cut up your cherries, because you know now how many you want. I need 11 and a half. No, I need 12 cherries cut, no, 11 cherries cut in half. And I'll have a half a cherry to spare. I might have to eat that. I love glacé cherries. So while they're cooling, get your icing ready, chop your cherries up, and I'll see you in a bit. Back on the other camera I'll be. Well, here I have cold cakes, and I've eaten my lunch, which is really good. And Bob's just saying, what can I have to eat that's nice? And I said, if you wait a moment, you can have a cake. So I better get on with it. So they're nice and cold. They're nice and cold. And here they all are. And here's my, here's my melon. Oh, here's my melon baller. here's my melon baller, but you could use this, or you could use a teaspoon or an apple core. I don't own an apple core, but I do own a melon baller. So you just scoop a hole out like that, like showing them on camera, like that, little hole. And you don't want an enormous hole because they're only little cakes. Obviously, those of you with big cake cases can maybe make your hole a bit bigger. So that's what you do to each of them. I'm going to show you a couple. I'm going to move on and put it on pause. This is my, I said to Bob, I had no jam, I found no strawberry jam. So go to the Co-op and buy the cheapest, smallest jar of jam they have, thinking Co-op's own, you know, 20p or whatever. He comes back with ultra super duper conserve, but hey, that's what we've got. So I've made my icing. When you make the icing, start with 1 spoonful of lemon juice, add another, add it as you would water, because you may find you don't need 3 tablespoons. I used 3 tablespoons. I think it might still be a little bit wet. We'll go and see. Then what you do is you ice over the jam. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing you. Ice over the jam first, so that you seal that in, and then ice the rest of your top of your cake out to your cake case on the side, and in the middle, half a cherry. Don't they look fab? I think they look fab. They taste wonderful. Oh, I meant to say, I added, the original recipe didn't have any almond essence in it. I added it because I didn't think they were particularly almondy. And I like my flavours to be definite, shall we say. Hence the lemon zest in the lemon curd. I do like my flavours to be very definite. And I thought, well, if they're going to be Bakewell, they need to be almondy. So I added my teaspoonful of almond essence. If you don't want it to be particularly almondy, you don't have to. So there's number 2. You don't have to watch me do all 21. The one thing I will say is I had found this very sad little dried up jar of cherries. Goodness only knows how long I've had them. Right at the back of the cupboard, you can see the syrup's all dried out. But look, they're just a glorious bright red, as opposed to the current Sainsbury's version, which are, of course, you know, natural colours and all of that. So these are very dark, but, you know, hey, they still taste like cherries. So that's what you do in all of them. I'll show you another one, in case you weren't watching the first time. Why weren't you watching? Do a little circle out with whatever implement you care to use. You get to eat these as well, of course, which is really jolly good fun. And then I'm always there for bits that you have to eat because you can't do anything else with them. That's the joys of being a cook, isn't it? Having a bit left over. Bunts, my dad used to call that. I don't know where that word comes from. So, bit of icing. Seal up that jam first. Spread it out over the rest of the cake. Want to really cover the whole cake if you can, have none visible. Now, as I said earlier, and cherry on where the hole is. Now, as I said earlier, if you don't want 15, 18, 21, or however many you've made, at this point, pack them in a box and freeze them. Then get them out when we can have lots of people to tea. Yippee. Boris is about to announce, maybe not tea parties, but he's about to announce the easing of lockdown. So you might have someone around for a cup of tea. Then just take them out and ice them. But I'm going to do all mine now. I think it's a bit greedy, but I think I am. So that's what we do. Shall I show you one more and then switch this off? I want to bore you with it, but hole in the middle. Put it down there to eat in a moment or two. Fill that hole. Now, the trouble with this good quality jam is it's got huge strawberries in it, which I don't really need. That's why I wanted cheap jam, because you only want the jammy bit. You certainly don't want a great lump of strawberry or raspberry. You can use any jam, really, any red jam in the middle. Unfortunately, I had all I had was apricot or blackcurrant, neither of which was suitable. So seal in that jam first, because you don't want to spread it and get jam absolutely everywhere, because that will spoil the effect. Icing on the top. This is brilliant, this camera, isn't it? I'm so pleased with it. And plonk. So those of you who are planning craft courses, can I recommend, this is the £30 camera, £29.99, that I said my son recommended, and clearly you can see it works brilliantly. I'm so pleased with it. Took me a little while to get it sorted, but you have to record on a Zoom meeting, but that's easy enough because we're all Zoomers, aren't we? We all know about Zoom. So you have to record it on a Zoom meeting, then it saves it to your laptop, and then you, in my case, then you upload it to YouTube. So as you can see, this is the fiddliest bit of the whole operation, but it's not that bad. The main thing is to seal that jam in first, so you don't get jam everywhere, because that really does look a bit mucky. Yeah, I don't want it looking mucky. A cherry on the top. There we go. I'm going to carry on and do the rest. You needn't watch me. I'm going to go back to, back to that. There we are. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to carry on doing these, which you don't want to watch because it's really boring. There's your cupcakes. Enjoy making them. Bye for now.